Hello, it's Alex from The Different Knock and the Canon Podcast. Welcome to the Alex Moneypenny YouTube channel. Before we moved over Different Knock live to the Canon Podcast live, this was that channel, so there's a few of you already here. But I thought I'd change this to sort of my channel. Obviously, a lot of the stuff we do on Different Knock and the Canon Podcast is prepared most of the time. But I thought this channel might be a nice opportunity to kind of take the pressure off, do more relaxed stuff, Q&As like this. And I'm really open to what you guys want to see. I'd love to sort of experiment a little bit more in here, whether it's Football Manager streams or Q&As or vlogs or whatever you guys want to see. Let me know in the comments. And yeah, I know this won't be for everyone, but stick around because this should be fun. So I asked you guys on Patreon, X, YouTube, and Instagram to give me some questions. And if you're a Different Knock Patreon, which means you get every TDK video ad-free and a day early, I'm going to answer your questions as a priority because you're so nice to me. There's going to be football, life, Arsenal, non-Arsenal. Hit the like, hit subscribe. Let's get into it. Okay, starting out on Patreon with A, who says, what is this I'm seeing about Liverpool trying for 150 million for Isak and why can't that be us? Yeah, I don't buy this. I do not buy this. I mean, to be fair, there's players moving on, Robertson and Kwanzaa, etc. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a sale in the forward areas as well. I can't see this happening with the cost per annum they're putting on Florian Wirtz. That's huge money. If Isak does move and he doesn't move to Arsenal, I'd be really curious what happened, whether it was a case of, Isak just chose Liverpool. I think how we handled that in the media would be really interesting, and how we sort of use leaks and stuff, and, we just couldn't get him, and how will that look, and et cetera, et cetera. That'd be really interesting. But I just can't see it happening. I'm sorry. I just can't see it happening. The money they've spent on Florian Wirtz and the money they're spending on Frimpong and Kerkers, and I can't see that. Question from Instagram from Arian03 says, do you ever feel under pressure representing the fan base on big media outlets such as Sky? Yeah, this is an interesting one. I never really considered it before. I just kind of went like, well, I'm just me giving my opinions on what I think about the club, and then you read feedback and stuff, and it's can't believe this guy represents our club, or what a great representation of our club, and that's great. To be honest, and maybe it's naive of me, I never really considered it when I started making content and started doing these shows. I think I take it a little bit more seriously now, but to some degree, what can you do? You're just giving your opinions, and I've not set out in my career to represent all Arsenal fans. I'm just saying my opinion. If you think that's a good representation, great. If you don't, then no problem. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know if I feel pressure. I think I've got more comfortable. I think you can see if you go back and look at certain early things that I've done with whether it's TalkSport, BBC, or whatever, you can feel probably my tension. But yeah, it's good fun, man. It's good fun. I've met a lot of really cool people. So yeah, I think more, not to sound like Mikel Arteta, I see it as an opportunity than a pressure. Let's move over to X. And John Smith says, on DR Sports, Flex said you used to support Man United. Is this true? And what's the context if it is true? Yeah, there was a clip of Flex and Alex from DR Sports talking about me, trying to triangulate whether it was the same person, which you can go watch the clip. It's about 53 minutes into the video. I'll link it below. Yeah, I mean, they make it sound like I was a United fan 3 weeks ago. I wasn't. I was a United fan until I was about 6 or 7, because basically my dad was from Manchester. I don't publicize this massively because faceless accounts on social media can get on you. I don't really care about it. I mean, if you think this devalidates my Arsenal opinions because I was a United fan more than 20 years ago because my dad was one, okay. But yeah, my dad was a United fan, and I was a United fan until I was about 6 or 7. My first Arsenal memory is making my dad take us on the bus to go and buy the Arsenal Invincibles. I think it was called Untouchables actually at the time, DVD. That must have been hard for him to have his 6-7-year-old son be like, I'm not doing this. I think I was annoyed at him or something, and I was like, right, I'm gonna be an Arsenal fan. And there were some boys down my road who are Arsenal fans as well. But that's how that happened. Back to Patreon. George Coles, signed some effing players, Alex. Yeah. I'm not worried about the transfer window just yet. I think once we get into July, because that's going to be, I think post 30th of June, that feels like a bit of a cut-off point. But yeah, I'm a little bit like, but I think it'll be okay. Juan Pablo Lozano, great name on Patreon, says, how do you keep calm amidst all the media chatter? Hearing Madueke rumours today made me panic. Basically, I think we're going to have to get used to this, the way Andrea Berti uses the media. I think we're going to see a lot more links. And by the way, I think if I had to choose, I quite like the Edu thing where you just pick a target and you go for it. But I don't want to be left short in the way we have been before. I don't want to end up with Neto situations again. So if we have to live through just links and links and links, because he probably is speaking to so many people, I'm kind of okay with with that. And I think you get a better sense of the market that way. It is frustrating from a fan perspective, but ultimately what matters is the squad you line up with on game week 1 and or whatever it's going to be, game week 3 after the deadline. I think just accepting that the whole thing is a game and not trying to get pulled too quickly into anything, but we all do, right? We all do. Back to X. Tom says, question, which current Arsenal player is your favourite and why? Bit of a cliche, but Saka. It is just Saka. Another question from Nate Smith. Alex, how do you balance staying authentic with the pull of media opportunities and YouTube analytics favouring a certain type of content? Do you feel you compromised of your ideal view of your channel when you started, or are you staying true? Is it a difficult balance? Good question. Yeah, I think you have to play the game to some degree. Like, you know, I think people... There's sometimes you cross a line, you maybe get it wrong. I think I have done that, but you know, ultimately try and open a shop without putting stuff in the shop window. That's the game, you know what I mean? I do think we all have a pretty good inbuilt sense of what feels authentic. I think that's why certain people and personalities are kind of magnetic, because you just feel like a certain level of authenticity to them, and why certain people repel us as well. I think it's like truth just lands. And I think that kind of big brain take kind of goes into content, and then what I do to some degree. People just know when they're being lied to. And I think you can play the game without lying. Let's go back to Patreon. Beanie U says, do you think there's any manager that can immediately improve on what Arteta has built over the past 5+ years? The one thing I'll say is, like, I'm always open to a who is out there conversation. We just have to be really considerate of what the job of a manager is and what we're trying to replace, and really, really intentional about this. I'm happy to do it, but okay, here's what you're replacing. You're replacing a head of something, a figure, who and someone who can take on that responsibility. Can this new manager do that? You're replacing a coach, you're replacing relationships, you're replacing a culture, you're replacing a game model, you're replacing how that manager uses the media, etc. A manager's job, you can boil it down to just, well, it's winning trophies. Winning trophies is a byproduct of getting all that other stuff right, in my view. And I do strongly believe that. So I'm open to it. But, you know, if we're talking about, you know, in Arsenal's case, what do we do with Arteta? Yeah, let's have a conversation about it. You know, there's other people out there. I look at, you know, I think someone mentioned where might Luis Enrique's next contract be, and Thomas Frank, for me, I'm gutted he went to Spurs because he ticked a lot of the boxes. But we have to be specific about what the manager's, what's his everyday job, what does he do, and why is that better than Arteta outside of just trophies? That is a big part of it, of course it is, but let's be specific. So I don't know, to be honest, and I wouldn't want to say. I do think there's some people who do play that who's out there game a bit. It's like, well, you know, name me the perfect answer. Well, sometimes you have to take a risk and a gamble, right? But yeah, it's also being specific about what we're replacing, I think. Sticking on Patreon, Johnny says, why did you decide to change to get into this sphere? If I'm not mistaken, you were studying to be a therapist. Be interesting to know more. Yeah, I was for a little while, to give people my background. So I trained as an actor. I went to a school in West London, did that for a bit, and I still am an actor and have an acting agent and stuff, and I still go up for acting jobs. I do it less now, and I'm a bit more choosy about what I audition for, but I still do that. I'm also writing stuff as well for theatre. The theatre is really like where I kind of cut my teeth and really what I love. But this just kind of grew. I started the podcast in 2020, I think it was, with a friend called Brad, and then we met people and whatever, and it just sort of grew from there. It's just happened. I don't know if I ever made a choice, but there was a point where I hadn't quite become what it is now, and I was sort of going, what do I want to do? And I'll talk about it in a minute, but I greatly benefited from therapy, and long term I would love to get into that space and kind of be positive in that way, because, you know, I love Arsenal and I love making content and stuff about football, but there's a cap on what you can discuss and how you can discuss it, and a cap on, you know, how much you help people. I mean, you entertain people and you accompany people and you have a great time, but I want to help people, you know what I mean? And I think there's a bit of a cap on that. Back to X. Ois says, taking away all links to all strikers, which striker that's considered available profiles the best for us in this current rendition? Well, I'm going to recommend a read for you guys. So someone sent me this back in March. I think it was on Discord, and I completely missed it. I forget the guy's name, but it'll be on the screen. Marcus Thuram and Retegui, who I still haven't really looked at, to be honest. Some names that sort of come up in the data. I think a striking partnership of Havertz and Šeško is a really good one. I think it has everything, really. Facilitation and channel running and box presence. I really think it has everything you need from a partnership, and is still a really good age. So I really like that as a pairing. But equally, I'm open to other names, and that's a really good resource if you want to go have a look at that. Danny, come on, you gonna says, what is your favorite type of video to record, whether it be Canon Podcast or TDK player analysis and tactics? The scouted episodes we do on Canon Podcast are really good because they're proper education for me. Like I can tell you about players, but where you really get into the nitty gritty of a certain player, George is just fantastic, and it's a real learning thing for me, as well as I can bring different questions and my observations, and it's just good fun. TDK is fun. It's hard. It's like 4,000 words every week, and I have to really think about it and really be intentional about what I want to say. TCP Live is always fun on a Thursday evening, just a bit of a kickback. So yeah, and hopefully new stuff on here, man. I'm open. Ollie Talks Football. What's your favourite genre of footballer? Good question. I'd say athletes in the forward areas. Runners, I really love a runner. Someone who gets you off your feet in that way. You know, that's why I don't think Leao's right for Arsenal, but I just love him. In the midfield, like Pedri, like those properly technical, like Spanish midfielders. I think I just grew up on them, and that's what I love. I do love like a Miles type profile at fullback. I really like that. Just a proper 1v1 specialist. Centre back, someone like Gabriel probably is a big one for me. Just like someone who loves defending, but there is also, I would say, value in a kind of Virgil type who's just smooth sailing. Goalies, I don't really know. Maybe athletes as well, kind of the scrambling across the goal to just like tip it over. Prime David De Gea is probably, but that's excitement, I guess. It's not necessarily the best. It's just kind of what you enjoy as a fan, right? Back to Patreon. Crimson, there's no way Moneypenny is your real surname, right? Yes, it is. My dad once told me this story about how it was Claude Monet, the painter, and he met a woman called Penny, and that's why they created the name Moneypenny. And I remember him telling me that, and I can't remember what age I was, but I remember thinking like, oh, that sounds legit. And then telling the story years later to someone, being like, well, that's where it comes from. And then being like, that can't be true. And my dad's just told me that, and I've just held on to it. Jay Holdall says, Sales, who will go, who will stay, and why? Yeah, I'd love to feel we could have this sort of clear out, as we might feel, but I obviously Tierney's gone. I think Zinchenko will go. Beyond that, I don't think we're going to get this surprise big sale. I don't know. This feels like a very tight group. It would require a big sale. I think it's going to be, I think Zinchenko is probably going to be one of the biggest sales this summer. Yeah, obviously Partey is going, but in terms of sales, like a big sale, I guess is where I'm taking this question. Yeah. Lucas on X, are you friends with Rohan and George outside of content? No. Yes. Mahmoud says, do you think we have enough character and personality in the team to lead us to trophies in comparison to other big clubs that we are usually competing with? Yeah, I think this is like the injury thing you always come back to. If you have too many injuries, your squad was too short. And if you don't win, you don't have enough character or personality. I don't look at the team and look at Rice and Gabriel and Saka and even Raya, Timber, Miles. I don't look at the team and go, we're short on characters. But then if you don't win anything, I guess you could always argue that. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of, yeah, it's a hard one. It's not, maybe we could add a bit more. There's a bridge to cross there, but I don't. It's not massive for me. You know what I mean? Nash says, would you ever consider doing watchalongs? I've done a few before. I just don't like them. I love that 90 minutes where I'm not on my phone. I'm not talking to anyone. I'm a nightmare to watch a game with. I don't speak. And I'm just present with the game, and I'm just watching and sort of in that flow state with the game. I would really miss that. So I never want to sort of monetize that. And to be honest, that's where I get a lot of the analysis from, is I'm really present with it and I'm having ideas and thinking and that stuff. So I'd kind of lose something there as well, I think. Back to Patreon. Duncan says, what is the minimum this team needs to achieve in the next 3 years for the project to have been considered successful, in your opinion? We've got to win a Premier League or Champions League as a minimum. I think it's doable to win more than one, for sure. I don't know. People will have different views of success. I can only answer myself. I think if I had, I'd say minimum a Premier League or a Champions League. But I want more. Maybe to answer the question, to be considered successful, because people won't give us that context, will they? To be considered successful, 2 Premier Leagues and a Champions League, probably, I would say. Okay, that was all of them on Patreon. Let me try and get to as many others as I can. Milan Throwback, will you rank the 6 players in MSN and BBC? Messi. I was embarrassingly late. I was pretty on Ronaldo. It was like I just wouldn't let it go. It is Messi. Ronaldo. I don't know. Who I loved let me do that. Who I loved watching. Let me do it that way. Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar, Bale, Suarez, Benzema. That's not a comment on their quality, just who I love watching subjectively. Yeah, that's probably it. Sharon Kevin Draws, what products do you use on your hair? This is some... Oh, hang on. I use water and Cantu Moisturizing Curl Activator Cream. There you go. Question from United Ultra GGMU. Which current day manager would you die in a war for? Neil Warnock. Maybe talk about the Arsenal women more. I would, but it's not for lack of interest. I am interested in them and I watch them. I just don't have the depth of knowledge yet. At some point, I probably will. I'll begin to sort of go into it, and I want to watch them more. I just wouldn't want to speak unqualified on them. I don't know enough. I don't know as much as, let's say Tim Stillman from Arsenal Vision. And I wouldn't want to speak unqualified. So that's why I don't do Arsenal women content. I'd love to at some point. Amit on X says, what are your career ambitions? Where do you see yourself in, say, 5 years career-wise? Well, I have ambitions in football. So I'd love like more regular. I'd love like a regular show that isn't mine. I don't know in what context. Whether it's Talksport, BBC, Sky, something like that. I'd love to do a bit more there because I think I could bring something there. I'd love to present a bit more. But to be honest, I just really within the kind of the Arsenal sphere, I'd love to be the kind of go-to analysis provider of Arsenal. I hope I have a very I'm not saying I'm the master tactician or the master technician or the best articulation or whatever, but I hope I feel I have a good all-round skill set. And there's so many aspects of the game that I love and love to talk about. So I would love to feel like I'm that. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be really cool. I don't feel that yet. But I've got other ambitions. I'd love to act more, to be honest. I'm actually writing a musical in the minute with a friend. I'd love to get that on. And yeah, just see where things go, man. To be honest, with career-wise, like I gave up. I had this sort of flux period where like I stopped acting and I started doing other stuff. And I was really like, I need to be here. What I find is the more I let go of like, I need to be there, the more things happen and that were actually better than my plans. That were better than my ambitions. Like I never planned on doing any of this, and it's been amazing. So yeah, I think the more I just go, do you know what? I'm not in charge. I'm just gonna do my best and allow fate or God or whatever you believe that to be to take its path. That's kind of, I guess that's where I stand. Sky says, what are a couple of your favorite emotional or mental health routines? I've spoken about this before, but and this might not work for everyone, but I had 4 or so years of therapy. It changed my life. A really tough situation, which I might speak about at some point on here, brought me to therapy. And you realize how much is being driven by stuff you're just not even aware of. And you're just, until you uncover it, until you bring out what was previously unconscious to the conscious, you're just running off that. And you're rationalizing, and you're just like, you're getting angry at things and not understanding why. And it's running your life, really. And it was running mine. To give you an example, okay, someone's annoyed you. Okay, why? Well, because they're rude. Okay, well, why does that upset you? Well, it's rude. Yeah, but okay, well, what is it? Okay, well, it's like the sense of freedom that they have, that they seem to not care that they were rude to me. Okay, so it's the sense of freedom. You feel like you don't have a sense of freedom. Yeah, wow. It's that sort of, and you sort of go back and you realize what's unconsciously driving it. That was just an example. That's not how I felt, but there's just so many amazing threads you can pull out and go, oh, it's all from within. It's all from this unconscious place that you don't really think about. And then you just begin to unhook and life just feels so much easier. Or it did for me. Therapy won't work for everyone. You won't find the right person. I found a really good person. I've also, I think there's a lot of value in somatic therapy, which is kind of bypassing the intellect. If you find you're a person who's very word driven and you're very articulate, I would say be suspicious of that and try and go in through the body. Go to a good acupuncturist, and they can kind of go in through the body and release stuff. And I've had certain experiences as well, which I could talk about another time through different methods of sort of getting to that unconscious. And it's amazing. It's just so, it's the most amazing experience of my life to sort of go down this path and realize what's really driving stuff. And it helps everywhere. It helps in every aspect of your life. So I'm not here to tell anyone what to do, but that's been my journey. Okay, let's finish there. I hope you enjoy this. Bit more personal, bit more outside of the Arsenal space. But yeah, let me know what you want, whether it's more Q&As or Football Manager content or vlogs or something different or perspectives on different things. I don't know. Just let me know what you want. I'm not here to crack 50 million subscribers here, or sort of, do the best Arsenal analysis I can. It's more just a kind of a personal thing because I love doing this and I love chatting to you guys and love this community and love the support you guys give me, and just a massive thank you. If you want to support, you can support on Buy Me a Coffee for The Different Knock and Patreon for Different Knock. You can support on Patreon for Canon Podcast as well and get extra content. But just generally, any support, just watching these videos, caring is really nice. And I really appreciate you guys. One day, we're going to have a live show at some point, whether it's the Canon or Different Knock, etc. I'm trying to work out the right way to do it. I want to get George over for the Canon as well and how that all works. But one day we're all going to meet in person and yeah, it's going to be a good time. But yeah, thank you all. And subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching. I don't have an outro for this channel. Thanks for keeping it Arsenal. Welcome back to something. Cheers, guys.